On a Tuesday evening last week, a man named Robert sat in his home office staring at a spreadsheet. It was his 40th birthday. He had a great job, a director-level title, a $165,000 salary, and a beautiful suburban home with 2 cars parked in the driveway. By every traditional metric of American society, Robert was a success. But as he looked down at his net worth column, his chest tightened. Excluding the illiquid equity trapped in his house, his actual investment accounts totaled just $32,000. He had spent his entire 30s working 60-hour weeks, but mathematically, he was standing in the exact same footprint he occupied at age 30. An entire decade of peak earning power had simply vanished, and Robert genuinely couldn't figure out where the water was leaking from. He didn't gamble. He didn't take lavish trips to Vegas. He didn't buy a boat. His 30s weren't deleted by a massive financial catastrophe. They were deleted quietly, systematically, and completely legally by 3 entirely normal, culturally celebrated decisions that almost every middle-class professional makes between the ages of 30 and 40. He followed the standard playbook, and the playbook broke him. The reality is that your 30s are the absolute compounding pivot point of your financial life. In your 20s, you can afford to mess up. Your income is low, your shovel is small, and the market hasn't had time to compound anyway. But your 30s are when your income scales, your energy is high, and every single dollar you deploy has massive leverage over how the rest of your life feels. If you don't engineer this decade with extreme intentionality, you will wake up at 40 with a high-prestige lifestyle, a massive overhead burden, and zero autonomy. You won't own your life, you'll just be managing a highly paid cage. My name is Nick, and I've spent way too much time diagnosing why high-earning professionals consistently finish their most productive decade with nothing but stress and a higher tax bracket to show for it. If you're currently in your 30s or approaching them, and you want to ensure your labor actually buys your freedom, hit subscribe. Because by the end of this video, we are going to expose the 3 structural trapdoors that quietly delete your peak wealth-building years, and the exact protocol to bypass them completely. Let's start with the first and most expensive cultural illusion, the up-prestige house trap. When you turn 32 or 33, your income begins to mature. You get the senior title, the marriage happens, maybe the first kid arrives, and instantly the societal pressure engine starts humming. You are told that renting is throwing money away and that it's time to buy a real home. So you go to a mortgage broker, and they look at your high salary and tell you that you qualify for a $650,000 primary residence. This is the exact moment where the trap snaps shut. Because you confuse what the bank asterisk allows asterisk you to borrow with what you can actually afford to hold. You buy the home at the absolute maximum of your borrowing capacity. You tell yourself it's a good investment, but a primary residence is not an investment. It is an aggressive consumption asset. It doesn't pay you monthly dividends, it demands them. When you stretch your debt-to-income ratio to buy a prestige brick and a specific zip code, you aren't just taking on a mortgage payment. You are taking on an exponential surge in property taxes, structural insurance, HOA fees, heating bills, and the inevitable cost of maintaining thousands of square feet you rarely use. Suddenly, 45% of your net monthly take-home pay is locked into a single fixed asset. Your cash flow shovel is instantly cut in half. You no longer have capital available to feed a brokerage account because you are spending your peak compounding years feeding a 30-year fixed amortization schedule. You've traded your liquid agility for a pile of drywall and landscaping pressure. Sit with that for a second. If your house requires your high salary just to stay out of foreclosure, the house owns you. You do not own the house. Mirrors the mend. That brings us directly to the second invisible trapdoor, the lifestyle financing loop. When you make $50,000 a year in your mid-20s, you drive a beat-up sedan because you have to. But when your income crosses $100,000 in your mid-30s, your brain performs a dangerous psychological pivot called entitlement inflation. You look at how hard you work, you look at your stress levels, and you think, I earn enough now to drive something decent. I shouldn't be dealing with an old car. So you enter the dealership loop. You don't buy a reliable $20,000 vehicle with cash. You lease or finance a $60,000 luxury SUV for $750 a month because the payment fits the budget. But the loop doesn't stop at the driveway. It migrates into every single corner of your week. It's upgrading to the premium gym membership that costs $200 a month because it has nicer towels. It's putting the $6,000 family vacation on a zero-interest promotional card because we'll pay it off with the bonus. It's ordering takeout 4 nights a week because you're too exhausted from your high-stress job to cook, spending $800 a month on delivery apps without ever printing the statements. This is the hedonic treadmill operating at maximum velocity. Each upgrade feels normal, reasonable, and entirely deserved, but mathematically, you are performing a slow-motion mugging on your own future. You are taking the delta, the beautiful gap between your high salary and your actual survival costs, and choosing to lease temporary status instead of permanent freedom. You're trading your ultimate autonomy for the appearance of a successful 30-something. Quick favor before we look at the compounding math that exposes the true devastating cost of this lifestyle leak. If this timeline breakdown is making you audit your own bank statements, hit the like button. It takes a single second, it's completely free, and it helps push sober mathematical reality to an audience currently drowning in consumer hype. Now let's look at the third and most tragic decision, delaying the crossover point. The biggest lie 30-somethings tell themselves is this: I'll get serious about investing in my 40s when the kids are older and the house is paid down a bit. They assume that because they have a high income, they can easily make up for lost time later. It is an act of supreme intellectual arrogance, and the math absolutely punishes it. Let's look at two brothers, Alex and Brian, to see exactly how this choice plays out over a decade. Alex understands the leverage of his 30s. At age 30, he decides to completely freeze his lifestyle creep. He keeps driving his basic car, lives below his means, and aggressively automates $1,500 a month into a standard total market index fund compounding at an average of 9%. He maintains this exact habit for 10 years, contributing a total of $180,000. At age 40, his account sits at roughly $290,000. He then stops contributing entirely, not another dollar, and just lets that snowball sit on the hill for another 25 years until he turns 65. Brian spends his 30s in the lifestyle loop. He buys the up-prestige house, finances the luxury SUVs, and vibes through the decades saving nothing. At age 40, he hits panic mode. He wakes up, realizes he has zero investments, and vows to catch up. Brian starts aggressively automating that exact same $1,500 a month into the exact same 9% index fund, and he does it for 25 years straight, from age 40 all the way to age 65, contributing a staggering total of $450,000 of his own cash. Let's look at the finish line at age 65. Brian, who worked his tail off for 25 years, contributing nearly $500,000 of his own hard-earned cash, finishes with approximately $1.6 million. Alex, who only invested for 10 years during his 30s and then didn't contribute a single penny for the next 2.5 decades, finishes with over $2.5 million. Read that sentence again. Alex contributed $270,000 asterisk less asterisk of his own money, but finished with nearly $1 million asterisk more asterisk than his brother. Why? Because Alex gave his snowball 10 extra years at the base of the hill. He capitalized on the unstoppable force of compounding math when his timeline was long. Brian tried to out-earn his delay with raw physical labor in his 40s and 50s, and he lost by a massive 6-figure margin. The math doesn't care about your excuses, your high salary, or your plans to get serious next year. Time is the supreme variable. If you delete your 30s, you are choosing to work decades longer for the exact same result. So, how do you recover if you're currently stuck in the middle of this high overhead loop? You implement the 30s recovery protocol immediately. Step 1. Enforce a structural baseline lock. For the next 3 years, your lifestyle spending cannot increase, regardless of raises, promotions, or bonuses. If you get a $10,000 salary bump, that money never enters your checking account. It is routed directly to your brokerage account on autopilot the day it drops. You must actively widen the gap between what you make and what you spend. Step 2. Downgrade one major status item. Look at your fixed overhead. If you are driving a financed vehicle with a massive monthly payment, sell it. Take the cash, buy a reliable, boring option, and recapture that $700 or $800 a month of pure liquid shovel. If your house is eating 50% of your income, make the hard psychological choice to downsize or house hack. Arrogance will tell you it looks like a step backward. Math will tell you it's the setup for a massive leap forward. Step 3. Automate your escape speed. Do not invest what is left over at the end of the month, because consumer culture will ensure nothing is left over. Set up your investment transfers to execute the exact morning your payroll hits. Treat your wealth-building fund as a non-negotiable bill that must be paid before your mortgage, before your grocery store, and before your car dealership. Make yourself structurally incapable of spending your own wealth-building capital. The matrix we live in wants you to spend your 30s loading up on liability structures under the guise of maturity. It wants you to buy the illusion of wealth today at the absolute cost of your actual life tomorrow. But the rulebook hasn't changed. True wealth isn't the size of your mortgage or the branding on your steering wheel. True wealth is your ability to wake up on a Tuesday morning and realize that no person, no bank, and no job owns a single minute of your day. Stop leasing a fake life from a lender. Reclaim your timeline, lock down your baseline, and stay out of the way. If you're currently navigating your 30s and realized your architecture is leaking, change the routing paths today. Clear the overhead, lock down the automation, and let time do the heavy lifting. And if you want to understand the exact mechanics behind how we take dry life stage financial concepts and turn them into highly engaging animated content architectures like this one, we teach the entire process step by step inside our private community for faceless video creators. The link is right below in the description. There's zero pressure. It'll be waiting for you whenever you're ready to build. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. It's just the cold math your local mortgage broker is hoping you never map out on a birthday spreadsheet. Take what's useful, leave the rest, and drop a comment below letting me know if you're currently engineering your 30s or trying to recover them. I'll see you in the next video.